How's it going, everybody? Thank you for checking my channel and welcome to today's video. This is a concept that was really fun to be able to experiment with to see if it was actually very possible to go and kill Ubers to farm a torch. Now, we all know that there are characters that are really good at being able to farm Ubers just like this, to make the runtime so incredibly short, to make it very viable to be able to farm torches to find the best ones for either that particular character or any other characters that you have within the game. Also, there are other characters that are still very good at being able to farm Ubers, maybe not the best choice. For example, depending on how well you can actually play the build and just what you're able to revive, a summon Necro can be very viable at being able to farm Ubers. But I wanted to take that concept and also something that I heard from Mr. Llama himself when it came to his Amazon guide.
A level 15 Valkyrie is so good. She can like solo hell. It's amazing.
I wanted to run with that idea to see if I can actually have a Valkyrie take the place of my Amazon with my mercenary and see if they can actually farm a torch. Now granted, this is not the most viable way to be able to get a torch. This is just something that I felt was kind of an out-of-the-box way of being able to use a character that most people would just have more of as an assistance character to a Boazon, possibly to a Javazon, but I wanted to have her take the place of my Amazon with a mercenary and just see what can actually happen. And there's a lot of details when it comes to spawning a Valkyrie that could either make her a complete help for this entire setup or can make her just the biggest hazard ever. I'll go over that a little bit later. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and do a comment shout out, which is going to be Jason Wild and Turn On Tune and Dropout, who both were able to roll perfect 40 all res on their Hodos in D2R. Congratulations, you guys, and I hope that you're able to have a lot of fun with them for your characters. With that said, let's get into the video.
Not even death can save you from me.
Greetings, mortals. I knew you would find your way back here.
Before we get into the build guide aspect of this video, I want to go over some of the critical aspects when it comes to spawning a Valkyrie, because it is more than just having her spawn once to be able to make her go through Ubers with no trouble or the least amount of trouble possible. You want to actually have her roll with specific things. Now, I'm going to have all the information you want to know about the Valkyrie down in the description below, so that way if any of you guys are interested, you can find it there. But to make it very simple, there's a couple of key points that need to be known. Level 17 is when she goes from having a lance to a war pike, and then also at level 27 is when she finally has all of her magic items become rare. Just like when it comes to any of the items that you actually have in the game, there's a lot of different variables that can roll on the rares, such as being able to get different particular chance to cast, which if you're able to get her to have a chance to cast level 1 Amplify, despite that it is only level 1, it could be really beneficial for her to be able to add on to the damage that she can actually do to the Ubers. When it comes to the war pike, you want it to be a blackened war pike. That way it actually has a chance to rule with the cruel mod on it, which is enhanced damage. That way she does even more damage when it comes to being able to kill the Ubers. And when it comes to the armor, there's different colors that she's able to roll with. Now you want to try to get her to have red. What this does is it adds a huge boost to life, but also have her to be able to regen her health a lot faster. That way she is both a huge tank and is able to do a lot of damage when it comes to killing the Ubers. When it comes to spawning her, it might take over a dozen tries to be able to get the right Valkyrie to spawn for you. So you want to make sure that when looking at her war pike, also make sure that her armor is going to be something that you feel is going to be useful for your character, which again, Fred is going to be really nice for having the additional life bonus and also the faster regen of her health, making her not only a tank, but be able to deal a lot of damage to utilize killing the Ubers that much faster. For the build guide aspect of this video, it's going to be very straightforward, especially when it comes to the gear. I'm going to be going over the parts that are pretty much just pertinent to the build only, skipping the mods on the items that are not going to be quite as necessary or as important. However, if you want to be able to see the additional mods on any of the items, please feel free to pause the video at any time so that way you can check them out. When it comes to the attributes, it's going to be really straightforward. It's going to be enough strength to be able to equip your gear. Granted, that's a lot of strength to be able to equip the gear that I'm using, because I'm going to be running Enigma. Before, she was running Fortitude and was being able to just farm cows, but I didn't go ahead and swap the strength and put it into Vitality because I didn't feel it really was necessary. It wasn't detrimental to the playing of the actual run, so I just kept it as it was. But again, if you are going to be actually trying this out, I do suggest you take that strength that you would be getting if you are going to be running Enigma and put it into Vitality to make your health pool for your Amazon even higher. When it comes to dexterity, if you want to do a max block setup, it is going to be a great benefit, because if you're going to do something like me and use my Amazon as a decoy, so that way my Valkyrie can take the place of my Amazon, you want to make sure that you have enough high block chance, so that way you are not going to be getting hit quite as hard or as often, so that way your character can be a tank while the mercenary and the Valkyrie are doing their job of being able to kill the Ubers. But I had enough dexterity that I felt comfortable, as I wasn't taking quite as many hits and I wasn't getting dealt that much damage. So it worked perfect for me. The rest of it I dumped into vitality. Now my resistances, I didn't even care. The whole point was to be able to just have my gear set up with +2 skills, so that way my Valkyrie can boost it up as high as she can go. And that was it. When it comes to the skill tree, it's very straightforward and simple. It was simply the passive and magic skills tree, and that's it. The main thing I wanted to do was to be able to get to Valkyrie, which putting 1 hard point into inner sight, 1 into dodge, avoid, evade. Then I had 1 into slow missiles and decoy to unlock Valkyrie and max that out. I then went and put additionally 1 point into critical strike at the very beginning, and went and maxed out penetrate, because penetrate and decoy are synergies for the Valkyrie, with decoy being able to add plus 20% of life per level, and penetrate with 40 attack rating per level. And from there, I went and maxed out critical strike to be able to give her a better chance to be able to have double damage. And the rest of the points I went and put into evade, just because it was the closest to Valkyrie. I really had no other reason to put the points into anything else. When it comes to the gear, as I stated before, I wasn't focusing on my actual character at all. I was focusing on to be able to boost my Valkyrie up to the highest level possible to give her the best chance of having the highest health pool, and also when it comes to summoning her, to have her summon with the best gear, so she is able to not only be a tank, but to deal a lot of damage to be able to kill the Ubers. When it comes to the gear, I only wanted to go with things that were more suited for an actual Amazon, so that way it really kind of feels more like a decoy. I'm not going to have her, for example, use Beast for the Fanaticism aura or anything like that. I wanted to kind of have her centered around what could be an actual Javazon setup. I don't play a Bozon, otherwise I would have tried to maybe go with an actual Bozon setup. But when it comes to the gear, we have, starting from the top, Shaco with 2 to all skills, a crafted caster amulet with 2 to Amazon skills. This is from a previous video where from a previous video to that, gambled 10 million gold for amulets, and I just wanted to see what the results were. And from the magic ones that I had, I went and crafted those into caster amulets to see if I can get a 220. It's definitely a video at my expense, so I suggest you go check it out. But I was able to finally get one that had 2 to Amazon skills, which is very useful for this build. Spirit with 2 to all skills. Enigma with 2 to all skills, which again is going to be where the high amount of strength that I had comes from. Titans, because yes, the 2 to javelin and spear skills is not going to be beneficial for this build. However, the 2 to Amazon skills is going to be really helpful, and especially with the additional faster run walk, it could be helpful if I am not able to teleport away, because her FCR is going to be pretty haggard at this level. When it comes to the gloves, I just had her wearing whatever she was wearing previously, because from when I was able to craft blood gloves from a previous video, I did not keep any of the passive and magic gloves that I was able to roll, which is my fault, but I just had her wearing whatever she was wearing, and that's it. Then I have 2 Stones of Jordan to be able to add 1 additional skill each, Arachnid's Mesh for the +1 to all skills, and then just whatever rare boots she was wearing previously. And on Switch, I went and used CTA, because again, I want to buff not only my character to be able to have additional skills to buff a better Valkyrie, but I wanted to increase her and my Merc's health pool, and then on the other side, a Spirit to complement it. But when it comes to the inventory, I could have used passive and magic skillers to be able to boost her up even more, but I wanted to keep it very simple and just have most of my inventory ready for using rejuice, because you will need them, especially going against Uber Mephisto. But I did keep my perfectly rolled Amazon torch, which in 50 finds is absolutely amazing to be able to find. I cannot believe I found this. Very lucky to have it. And then my any charm to boost my skills even higher. So with all of these items, I was able to get my Valkyrie up to level 37. Now when it comes to the Mercenaries gear, it's really, really important that you use these specific items, so that way not only are you going to be really beneficial in chunking out their health, but you're going to be keeping the Ubers from regenerating their health. and that is because of duress. So really nice for the FHR, so that way he's able to get hit, recover quick, and to go back to attacking. But the 15% chance of crushing blow with 33% chance of open wounds is really, really critical to have on this particular build setup. Then we have a G-Face with a jewel for enhanced damage for not only the additional FHR, but the 35% chance of crushing blow to make it with duress 50%. And then the additional deadly strike is going to be really beneficial if he can get a nice hit off to chunk their health out even more. Then we have right here Infinity, as you would expect, with Conviction, which is only going to be beneficial for Bale and Diablo. With Mephisto, it's going to be canceled out because of his Conviction. However, with this, we have the 40% chance of crushing blow, and on top of the duress and the G-Face, there's now 90% chance of crushing blow. So that way he is able to do so much damage with every single hit. And with the setup, you see that his resistances are nearly capped. So obviously for Mephisto, you want to have his lightning capped out as much as possible with 64. You probably should put Treachery on him and take him to the Frigid Highlands, so that way he is able to get hit, proc fade, have his resistances as high as possible, and then maybe put duress back on and finish the run like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and change the player settings, players 1. Now the main reason why you want to do this on players 1 over doing this on like players 8 is because of the fact that you're not going to get a better torch drop because it's on a higher player setting. It's going to be the exact same odds whether it be on players 1 and players 8, and players 8 just makes it that much harder for you to kill the Ubers. And I saved you guys the trouble watching me try to respawn the Valkyrie because it took well over 24 tries. The main thing I wanted to do was make sure that she had the Dark War Pike, which I believe she was able to finally roll with it, and there you go. You can actually see that it is the Dark War Pike. So let's go ahead and go to Uber Tristram, Buffalo the Battle Orders, and we're going to be trying to find the Ubers. Now the main thing we're going to try to do is to separate them out one by one, and hopefully they did not spawn all together to make it that much harder to be able to start going there. Whoa, what the hell no. Hell no, get the hell away from me. So unfortunately they did exactly like I did not want them to do, but not to worry. Diablo is going to be the easiest to separate from the group, and hopefully we can get him to start following us down towards the bottom left and around one of the buildings to have him isolated from the other two. Hopefully Bale doesn't start teleporting over to us, making it that much harder to kill, because we cannot do the Ubers as a 3v2, it has simply got to be a 3v1. Take on the Ubers one by one. So thankfully we got Diablo by himself. I believe we were far enough away where Bale is not going to come over to us and start attacking. And from here, you can see that all of the damage being done to Diablo is from my Mercenary and my Valkyrie. You can see my Javelin is not moving. It is just simply them. And his health is already down quite well. So quite a viable build. And the Valkyrie is quite a tank. So both of them, as you can see in the corner, they're both taking very little to no damage from Diablo. And even for my character, she's able to tank quite a bit of the hits. And hopefully within the next couple or so hits, Diablo is going to go down. We can move down to Bale, kill him next, and take on Mephisto last. Because no matter what setup you have, he's going to be the hardest one of the 3 to kill. There we go, so Diablo is done. It's actually happened rather quick, comparatively speaking, to the previous one. Let's go ahead and read for the rejuves. I believe that's it. Yep. So let's go ahead and try our best to separate Bale. He's going to be the hardest to separate because he is going to be casting a lot, making it to where he's not going to be teleporting around or walking around as much as we would want him to. My idea is to try to get him to come around one of these buildings to where we're out of Mephisto's line of sight and he just stays put. That way we can just isolate Bale and kill him before going to Mephisto. Now the main thing we want to do is to keep both of them alive. Yes, you can easily just, if the Mercenary dies, to go and revive him, or if the Valkyrie dies, go and resummon him, but the main goal for this run is to have them both be alive, so that way it just shows that they can actually survive in Uber Tristram and do all of the work that my character otherwise would have to do. So the appendages are starting to come around over here, so hopefully that is going to be a good sign. I can get Bale to just come around the corner. Just come around the corner. Come on, Bale. There we go. Appendages are now over here. Perfect. Exactly what we want. So just teleport over here. And the main reason that, and you're seeing why I picked Enigma, is because the AI for the Mercenary and for the Valkyrie is quite dumb. And you want to be able to position them as you need to do. And that's where Enigma comes in and is truly, truly helpful. So thankfully, as you can see, just like before, the Mercenary and the Valkyrie are actually tanking the hits quite well. And they're dealing quite a bit of damage already, so he's down to about the last fourth of health, which is always going to be the hardest to chunk down, especially because even though we have quite a high crushing blow set up, it's only going to deal a percentage of health. It's not going to actually chunk out a specific number, so as the health starts to go down, it's going to only take off a smaller and smaller amount of health. So this is simply all going to be based on the actual damage from the weapons themselves without considering crushing blow. So, but as you can see, this is where the open wounds is really being a huge help. So that way, Bale is not able to regenerate his health fast at all. There we go, just going to keep the Mercenary alive, because right now he is tanking the hits for the Valkyrie. The appendages are probably our biggest obstacle, because they're what are going to be putting my Mercenary specifically into hit recovery. If the Valkyrie gets put into hit recovery, it's not big of an issue. There we go, so Bale is down. So it's not a huge issue if she's put into hit recovery, but because I'm pretty certain that the Mercenary is doing most of the work, I want to have him get as many hits as possible. So for him to not take as many hits would be truly ideal. There we go. No poison cloud to be able to start taking away their health rather quickly or one-shot them. But right here you can see that the Valkyrie is actually tanking the hits. Unfortunately, I want to, again, keep her alive. So comparatively speaking, for certain other characters, my Valkyrie is surviving against Mephisto quite well by comparison. There we go, she is, I believe it's just the right amount of it. Perfect, so this is what we want. All three of us are tanking the hits quite well. So obviously my character is in front, acting as a decoy, but they are just hacking away at his health. And hopefully this is not going to take me having to go around a building and put more rejuves in my belt. But there you go, he's almost done. And again, the combo of Mercenary and the Valkyrie actually can work. Let's see, how many more hits until he's dead? How many we got? Perfect. We're done. That's it. So with that, let's go ahead and see what the torch is. Hopefully it's going to be a 2020, because that's all we're looking for. It is garbage. But with that, that just shows that you can actually have a viable build of a Mercenary and a Valkyrie. So here's all the gear again, just so you guys can see. It is all the exact same gear, all plus the skills to be able to buff up my Valkyrie as high of a level as she can go. So again, I didn't have any gloves that would actually work, but thankfully all the other gear was able to supplement with plus the skills. And for the Mercenary, we have all of his gear that was able to not only tank most of the hits, but be able to do so much damage that he and a Valkyrie together could take on the Ubers. And that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Pretty straightforward when it comes to what is going to be needed to boost the Valkyrie up to the highest level possible. Again, you can go a lot higher if you're able to have a lot better gear that has more of plus the skills, or if you're able to have the passive and magic Grand Charms to be able to boost her up even higher. But I wanted to utilize the space for rejuves in case I needed them with Mephisto. But fun build, something experimental, and just to show how OP the Valkyrie and Merc combination really can be. If you like this content and want to see more, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, be notified whenever a new video comes out. And if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by leaving a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay safe and take care.